Chances are many of you listening started today with a robust cup of coffee. And we'll bet you haven't thought about all it actually took to get that coffee from the bean plant to your cup. Well, it used to be you only had 2 or 3 brands to choose from at your grocery store, but that was then, and we're looking at now, when people like Ahhhh Henderson are on a mission, literally. And the end result? A variety of freshly roast coffee on many of the small business shelves you'll find in East Central Indiana. Ahhhh Henderson is the owner and operator of Promise Coffee Roasters and Coffee Shop at Pendleton, and she shares with us today her journey to now, looking back to before coffee.
Life before coffee roasting, it's hard to remember what that was, really. I was running a nonprofit called More Than Conquerors in Pendleton, the free faith-based after-school program. I was leading the middle school program and then running marketing, directing, and fundraising and all of that. And the fundraising stuff is actually what led me into coffee, oddly enough.
Well, how did that transition happen?
As I was doing that, I built friendships with other mission groups and like-minded people in the area. And one of those people from Renewable Hope, Inc. actually was at our staff meeting one day, just happened to drop in. And it's been placed on my heart that I was going to do something that I thought had to do with coffee that was going to be fundraising for multiple organizations. And he said something about visiting these farms that they see in other countries. And so he was talking about being in Nicaragua and seeing all these coffee beans that they'd be drying out and farming. And there's got to be a way that we can help them and then also use it as a fundraiser towards what we are doing as organizations here. And at the same time, God had been speaking to me about doing something with coffee, and that connect happened. Right at the same time, too, my brother out in North Carolina was just experimenting and trying to roast his own coffee with a popcorn popper. And he's telling me about that. So it was all the perfect trifecta of thoughts coming together at one to lead to coffee roasting that would help supplement other nonprofit giving mission-based organizations that then wouldn't have to necessarily think about that fundraising side because it would be coming in from my business.
As to doing this on the volume that you seem to be doing it on, this isn't something that you just do on weekends in your kitchen. Let's talk about the investment in equipment and knowledge to be able to do this.
The first thing I roasted on was a little 1980s popcorn popper, and I did it on my back porch just to see if I could do it. And the fire for it grew from there. It was exciting to me. And then my first roaster was a little 1-pound kitchen appliance roasters for your home. And I launched my business with that. And looking back, it was so crazy to do that because I was doing like 11 back-to-back roasts a day. And that was not sufficient. But now, so as it stands, I actually built out a roastery space because I grew bigger than the space I had in my home that I could use. And I built it out of an old grain bin on my grandpa's farm, converted it over and finished it out inside, and it's a roastery now. And I have a commercial roaster, which is exciting. It's still not the biggest, my dream roaster yet. That's coming, but it's the step closer to it. And so I can do exponentially more now. And so now I'm up from about 4 to 5 pounds an hour. I can do around 15 to 18 pounds an hour now, which is still low for where I want to be at, but it is amazing also considering the business is as young as it is.
Do you feel like being around the agricultural community has given you any insight into the handling and processing of the coffee?
We never farmed the farm. It's not a family farm in that sense, but growing up in Pendleton, Madison County, I have many friends and I do have some relatives that are farmers, and I've done 4-H and all of that. And I do think seeing that from especially a young age, seeing those processes, the things that come to be in small markets and things like that have given me an appreciation for from seed to table, as they say. So I am very intentional in how I source every single bean that I use because I want to make sure that it is truly beneficial to the people that are growing it and the people that are going to be consuming it on my end.
Which leads me to another question of interest. A coffee bean is not just a coffee bean is just a coffee bean. Let's talk about some of the varieties and what you have to do to put that out.
Prior to 2018, when I started the business, I was of the mindset of coffee is coffee, and I had no idea of the differentiation between different beans, different regions. And so everything I've done, I've prayed heavily about, and then I've just researched. I have the conversations. I've met a ton of great people in my field to get to talk about those things, like what makes it different from a light roast to a dark roast, what makes it different when it grows in the Dominican or in Haiti. So it is really cool to see those things and then pick out different qualities that I know will make a really interesting, different profile.
Well, it sounds like you've worked a business plan.
Yes. When I went into the drive-thru, especially sat down and laid out a business plan. With the roasting, it was a lot more trial and error.
Where do you see yourself in 2 years to 5 years?
Multiple shop locations of my own, an expansion in my retail partnerships. But then the biggest thing I want to see is a growth on the roasting side of those relationships. So the roasting is the heart and soul behind this. This is it's where the name promise, it's the promise in all of it is the promise to provide. And that's where it's rooted, is the roasting, is with the bean itself. And so I want to see that side, and I'm seeing it coming to fruition more and more, grow where I can supply other local shops. I have a new venture in Muncie that I'm partnering with. The owner of Elm Street Brewing Co. is opening a coffee shop there, and they'll be brewing my coffee. That's where I see the next few years going, roasting for people that want to serve good coffee.
Let's talk about finding more about you on the web if someone wants to contact you, wants to research you, wants to order from you.
I have my Instagram and my Facebook. It's Promise Coffee Roasters, that you can always check things out, or new products, or see where we're going to be set up as far as markets and events go, because I love partnering with the community in different markets and events. The website is promisecoffees.com with an S, Promise Coffees. You can check out the different roasts that are available right now, or read about the missions we support. You can order online there and then pick up from the drive-thru. I do a local delivery that I started from the inception of the business, just with that desire to serve and bring it to your doorstep. The drive-thru, it's at 228 South Pendleton Avenue. It's a shared office space building. It's called Pendleton Office Suites. You can also walk in to the building and come back through the kitchen, and I have a pickup window as well there.
Esther, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Esther Henderson of Pendleton, making your day better with coffee, and Madison County, a better place to live. Thanks for listening. That's the latest buzz in Madison County.